What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video, and it is time to fill out a way too early 2023 March Madness bracket all the way from the round of 64 to the championship game, and we are going to take Joe Lunardi's most recent bracketology. This one came out May 17th, 2022. Here it is. We are going to take it, put it into this PDF, and fill it out to the championship. I just want to say before we get started, subscribe if you guys are new. We do a ton of college basketball content here on the channel. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you guys subscribe and drop that like because it helps share it out to other college basketball fans, helps grow the channel and grow this awesome community that we have here. So yeah, without further ado, let's get it started. So he has the Kentucky Wildcats as his top overall seed, and for good reason. I mean, they are returning the AP Player of the Year in Oscar Tshiebwe. They got some solid recruits coming in. They got a very good team, so I don't blame him for putting Kentucky as the top overall seed. Then he's got Texas A&M Corpus Christi here at the 16 seed, making it back-to-back tournaments if they can do it. Very solid team, but I got to go with Kentucky. I don't think Corpus Christi is going to upset Kentucky round one. Next up, we got Oklahoma State. They were banned from the tournament last year. I think that they will have a bounce back year. They didn't have a good non-con record last year, but actually in the Big 12 conference, they had a decent amount of wins, and they showed potential. So I think Oklahoma State will be around this 8-9 seed mark for next year, and they will be facing Oregon. And I actually think that Oklahoma State will get the win here against Oregon. But then again, the Pac-12 usually does surprise us in March. So, I don't know. Maybe I want to go Oregon there, but I'm going to just stick to it. I'm going to stick to my guns and go with Oklahoma State. They play in the hardest conference in college basketball. I think if they can get there at an 8-9 seed, they will win round one. Next up, we got Virginia versus UAB. Now, this is an interesting matchup because Virginia, definitely a team that I think is going to make the tournament next year that didn't make the tournament last year. They are returning a lot of minutes from that roster last year, so a lot of experience coming back, and they have a couple of good recruits coming in too. I think they have a couple 4-stars coming in. So Virginia will be a very good team next year, and they are very well coached. But UAB is one of my favorite mid-major teams coming into next year. Returning Jordan Jelly Walker, a absolute beast. A lot of people thought, including myself, they might get a 12/5 upset last year. And then they went in the transfer portal and picked up Brandon Murray out of LSU. I think that he is going to have a big year for the Blazers as well. So I have to pick the upset here in UAB. And it kills me because I do think Virginia is going to be a very good team next year, and they are well coached. They play amazing defense. Their defense is going to be outstanding, and that almost took me away from it, but I can't go against picking UAB in this upset. 12/5. I got to pick some 12/5s. I like the Blazers a lot coming into next year. Next up, Michigan versus UC Santa Barbara. UC Santa Barbara was a very popular upset pick a couple of years ago, and they are back in the tournament this year according to this bracketology. So, Michigan, I do think that they will be a very good team next year. This could be a popular upset pick for me, honestly, but I don't want to go too crazy right now. I think Michigan to win this game. Hunter Dickinson returning, one of the better big men in the league. Got to go with the Wolverines, especially after that run from the 11th seed they made last year. Pretty impressive. I don't really want to pick against them in round one against Santa Barbara. Next up, we got Dayton versus Memphis. Memphis losing some key guys. Imani Bates transferring out. Durham is heading to the NBA. They got some different guys coming in there. I do think that Penny Hardaway will have a pretty decent team, but Dayton is predicted by a lot of people to be the best mid-major in college basketball. As long as you don't include Gonzaga as a mid-major, people think Dayton is going to be the best mid-major. And I kind of want to get on that hype wagon, man. Dayton's going to be a very good team next year. I don't know if they're going to be as good as people think, like a 6 seed. That's pretty high, but I do think that they will be one of the better mid-major teams next year, along with UAB. I think UAB will be also. But yeah, Dayton, they play in probably the best mid-major conference in college basketball. So, yeah, I like Dayton a lot coming into next year. Next up, we got Duke versus Iona. Duke's, they're reloading a lot this year. They're going to have a lot of freshmen starting this year, as per usual. They always have freshmen leave for the drafts and new freshmen coming in. They have a really good recruiting class, so I do think that Duke is going to be awesome this year. I would love to pick Iona because they always seem to make the tournament with Rick Pitino, but they never get the job done. And I just can't do it. I can't pick Iona over Duke. I think Duke is going to be way too good. They got some really talented freshmen coming in this year, and I got to go with the Blue Devils. Now we got Xavier versus USC, and Xavier, new head coach Sean Miller. I think that's going to be key. I think Xavier is going to have a really good season this year. I think they won the NIT tournament last year, if I'm not mistaken. They either won it or they made it to the NIT championship game. And I think Xavier is going to be a very good team this year under head coach Sean Miller. He's with his second stint with the Musketeers. So I'm going to roll with Xavier here in this round one. Kansas versus the Toothpaste. Toothpaste making their third tournament in a row, according to this bracketology. Very solid team, but I got to go with Kansas, even though they are losing a lot of players from that championship team, including Christian Braun, Ochai Abachi, David McCormick. They are still going to be a very good team. They picked up some key players out of the transfer portal, including in-conference player Kevin McAllister. And Kansas is going to be good again next year. I mean, when are they not good, right? And let's go ahead and finish this region. We got Kentucky versus Oklahoma State in round 2, and I'm going to go with Kentucky again. I think Oklahoma State could be good enough to make it to the second round, but I don't think that they are going to be able to beat Kentucky. I do think that they could put up a good fight with them, but Kentucky, too talented. I think this is the year Oscar Tshiebwe takes Kentucky deep, and they got some solid freshmen coming in there as well. I mean, that team is looking pretty damn good. Next up, we got UAB versus Michigan, and I kind of want to roll with UAB to the Sweet 16. Let's make it happen, man. I think the Blazers could put up a good fight against Michigan and maybe come out there with a win. I actually think that UAB matches up better with Michigan than they do Virginia. The only problem I see there is who is going to guard Hunter Dickinson. If they can slow him down, figure out a way to stop them, then I like the guard duo of Brandon Murray and Jordan Jelly Walker to carry UAB to the Sweet 16 with a lot of scoring in that backcourt. Next up, we got Dayton versus Duke. This would be an awesome matchup because Dayton expected to be very good. If they are as good as what people say they will be, I think they'll have a very good shot in this game against Duke, with a team that will have a lot of freshmen on the team, but they still do have returning point guard Roach, and that would be a key leader for Duke in if they can go far in this tournament, because in my opinion, he played awesome throughout the tournament in that Final Four run last year for Duke, but I'm going to go with Dayton, man. I like Dayton, and if they are a 6 seed, which means that they are as good as what people were saying they will be, then I like them to move on here. Next up, we got Xavier versus Kansas. And this would be a fun matchup. I think Xavier will be a very good team next year, but I can't have them beating Kansas. I think Kansas, coming off of the national championship last year, they would win that one there. Now, in the Sweet 16, we got Kentucky versus UAB, and this is where the Blazers' Cinderella run ends. I got Kentucky moving on to the Elite 8. Then we have Dayton versus Kansas, and I am going to have Dayton take down Kansas and make it to the Elite 8. Actually, last season during the regular season, Dayton actually beat Kansas on a buzzer beater. I was watching that game. I was like, wow, that is crazy. And Dayton actually kind of made a late push at the end of last season and almost sneaked into the tournament last year. I think they are going to be a very good team next year. Like I said, if they are as good as expected, I could see this happening. I could see Dayton making it all the way to the Elite Eight. And then to make the Final Four, we got Kentucky versus Dayton, and I am going to go with the Wildcats to beat Dayton. Oscar Tshiebwe, too much for Dayton in this one, and Kentucky is our first bid to the Final Four in this one. Now let's head down here to this region. We got Houston versus SIU Edwardsville, and I'm not going to be honest with you guys, I have never heard of SIU Edwardsville, but maybe I'll have to take a look at them if they are expected to be good this year. But nah, I got to go with Houston. Marcus Sasser, returning for the Cougars, opted out of the NBA draft. That is so huge for Houston because they also got some key transfers, some key recruits coming in next year. Kelvin Sampson has a heck of a team next season, and it doesn't surprise me that Joe Lunardi has them here as a 1 seed because Houston is going to be an awesome team to watch next year. Then we got St. Louis versus Colorado State, and there's no doubt in my mind. Actually, this is the most confident I've ever been in picking an 8-9 matchup. I'm going with St. Louis for multiple reasons. One, Colorado State, I think they would have potential to be one of the better mid-majors in all of college basketball if David Roddy was returning, but he is not. He opted out and went into the NBA draft, so he will not be returning for the Rams next year. And St. Louis, I feel like they're always so close to making the tournament and doing something good in there, but they never quite can make it. So if they can get a bid this year, I think St. Louis can get a win in March. So I like St. Louis to win this one. Give me them to move on to round 2. Alabama versus Liberty. Liberty, another team that is expected to be very good next year. I have to look into them more because do my research on Liberty, but right now I got to go with Alabama. Alabama is, in my opinion, probably one of the most underrated teams going into next year. I mean, coming in as a 5 seed, they were a 5 seed last year, and I think that a lot of people, including myself, didn't give them a lot of respect last year, but they are going to be a very good team next year. They are returning some great talent, especially in that backcourt. I think they are very well coached as well, and they have some top recruits coming in this year. I'm pretty sure they have a 5-star recruit coming in as well. So Alabama is actually doing some great job recruiting in basketball as well. So I think Alabama is one of the most slept on teams heading into next year. I am going to have them beat Liberty and move on to this next round. Then we have TCU versus Grand Canyon. No doubt in my mind, I'm going TCU. One of the teams that is returning the most players, the most returning minutes from last season. And last year we saw the potential. They almost upset Arizona in the round of 32 last season. They put up a really good fight, and I like the Horned Frogs a lot next season. I like that Joe Lunardi has them here as a 4 seed. That is around where I would predict them to make, and I just like this team a lot. I will have TCU making it to the next round. Michigan State versus St. John's. This would be a great matchup as well. I am going to go with the upset here in St. John's because Tom Izzo, very tough to beat in March, and I realize that, but I got to go with St. John's. Very good pickups by them in the transfer portal, including Andre Curbelo, who I think is going to have a big year in the Big East. I like him a lot from Illinois. He has some good potential there. They also picked up another guy out of DePaul. They are going to be a very good team next year. I would like to see St. John's get a win in March and upset Tom Izzo and Sparty to make it to the round of 32. Next up, we got Tennessee versus Penn. Easy pick for me. I'm going 10 over Penn in this one. San Diego State versus Oklahoma. This is actually a kind of a tough pick. San Diego State, they're scrappy, man, and always a good defensive team. Oklahoma barely missed out on the tournament last year. I think Porter Moser, very good coach. I think if they get in this year, I think I could see Oklahoma picking up a win. So I'm going to go with the Sooners to get the win there, especially because the Mountain West was very disappointing last year. So I got to go with Oklahoma to win this one. UCLA versus Montana State. Now, this is one of my biggest hot takes going into next year. I can't get behind fully the hype behind UCLA next year. I mean, they're losing Johnny Juzang. I know that they have Yaquez returning. Like, they're going to be a pretty good team, but I just can't get behind the hype that UCLA is really about to be a 2 seed next year. I just think they're probably going to be a 4 or a 5, maybe even a 6 seed. Like, I don't see UCLA being a top seeded team like this. I would love to pick Montana State over them, but I can't do it. I'm not going to pick a 15 over a 2 right now. This early and a way too early. It's hard to tell even. But right now, let me know what you guys think about that. I don't see UCLA as like a top tier team. Like, in my opinion. Next up, we got Houston versus St. Louis. What an upset it would be if St. Louis could beat Houston. I could see it happening, but I'm going to go with Houston. I think they are too good to lose to St. Louis. Marcus Sasser returning. Oh my goodness, that team is loaded. Alabama versus TCU. This is a 4-5 matchup that I would love to see. I think that these two teams would go at it down to the wire. It would come down to the end, but I got to go with TCU to win it in this one. Next up, we got St. John's versus Tennessee, and I am going to go with the 11-seeded St. John's to move on to the Sweet 16. That's right. We are seeing an upset Cinderella story by the Big Red Storm right here. Tennessee always seems to lose around the round of 32 or Sweet 16 in the tournament. I don't know why. They are always a very good team, but they always seem to lose. I do think that this year they will be have one of their better years, though. So maybe this will be the year that they actually make a deeper run. But right now, I like the St. John's team a lot. So give me the Red Storm to move on. And next, we got Oklahoma versus UCLA. And I am going to go with the Sooners to move on to the Sweet 16 as well. So we got a good 2 upsets, 2 double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16 in this region. I like those picks a lot. Like I said, I'm not too high on UCLA this year. So give me Oklahoma to move on. Next, we got Houston versus TCU. 2 Texas teams going head-to-head in this one. And this is probably my boldest pick right here. Or I make a lot of bold picks, so it might not be my boldest, but it is definitely a bold one. Give me the Horned Frogs to beat Houston in this one. They got some great returning players, including a star guard, a good big man. They are returning a lot of great players, and I actually think that Jamie Dixon is an underrated coach. A lot of people give him slack. I've been seeing some people saying a Jamie Dixon coach team doing good? You got to be out of your mind. But he actually has built up TCU's basketball program very, very well, and I think it's very impressive, and he deserves more credit than what he's given. So give me the Horned Frogs to make it to the Elite 8 here. And now we got an 11 versus a 10 matchup in the Sweet 16, and I am going to go with the Big Red Storm to make it out to the Elite 8. Give me St. John's to beat Oklahoma. We got an 11 versus a 4 matchup in the Elite 8. Who will get the second bid to the Final Four? And it will be the TCU Horned Frogs. Let's go. The Horned Frogs making a run to the Final Four. I like that a lot. Next up, we got North Carolina versus Longwood. Easy pick here, North Carolina. We all know they are returning 4 of their starters from last year's team that made the championship game. And they also have some good depth on this team. A lot better depth that they had than last year. Last year, they only played like 6 guys maximum throughout the entire tournament and most of the year. So give me North Carolina. They are going to be very good again next year and have some better depth on that team as well. So give me the Tar Heels for sure. Next up, we got Texas A&M versus Uconn. And give me Texas A&M. We picked against Texas A&M Corpus Christi earlier, but A&M, coached by Buzz Williams, I think that they are in for a good run this next year in the SEC, one of the sleepers in the SEC, and I think that they will get an NCAA tournament bid. They are a very well-coached team. Give me them over Uconn, especially Uconn. I feel like they're losing a good bit, and I like the Aggies to win that one. Now, we got Indiana versus Toledo. This is an interesting matchup because Indiana returning Tracy, and they are going to be a very good team. They got 2 5-star recruits coming in. The Hoosiers might be back. I think that they are very well coached by Mike Woodson as well. But Toledo expected to be a very good mid-major team, and it always seems like the MAC conference gets an upset in March. I don't know what it is about the MAC conference, but they always seem to get it done. So do I want to go with Toledo here? I just can't do it. I got to go with Indiana, man. I think that they're going to be a very good team, and I feel like that they deserve it. I feel like, Indiana, if they're back, that is pretty good for college basketball. I would like to see the Hoosiers get a win here in March. Now, we got Texas versus Towson. I think this is a very good draw for the Longhorns. I expect the Longhorns to be very good next year. They got a great backcourt, especially after they picked up Tyrese Hunter in the transfer portal. Texas will be a good team next year. I'm excited to watch them play. Now we got Purdue versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be good. Purdue's got Zach Edey returning. They're going to be... I'm going to go with Notre Dame in this upset. I like Purdue, but they're not going to be as good as next year. They're losing, Travion Williams. They're losing Jaden Ivey. Like, those are huge losses, man. And I think Notre Dame, they're kind of on the come up now. And I like them a lot. I like what I saw from them last year in March, how they were fighting out of that first 4 game, and then they won in round 1 as well, and they were fighting every single game. Give me Notre Dame in this one. Creighton versus Oral Roberts. And Oral Roberts, I think Max Abamus will be back for them again. And I would love to see him in the tournament again. That would be awesome to see. But give me Creighton in this one. They are too good. I made a video on Creighton after they picked up Baylor Shireman. I was like, man, Creighton is loaded. They are going to be one of the funnest teams for me to watch personally in all of college basketball next year. Just because if you like watching good ball movement, good shooting, stuff like that, just good basketball, you are going to love watching the Blue Jays play. And I think they will be a top tier team next year. So give me the Blue Jays to win that one. Then we got Ohio State versus Miami. Ohio State, 2 big losses to the NBA draft, including E.J. Liddell. I got to go with Miami. They made some massive pickups in the transfer portal, including Nigel Pack and Norchad Omier. Miami is going to be a good team again, and coming off that Elite 8 run that they had last year, give me Miami to win this game. Now we got Arkansas versus Vermont, and I got to go with Arkansas. And it sucks because Vermont, they're always in the tournament the last few years, and Vermont is always so good. The Catamounts, man, I would love to see them get a win in March, but not against Arkansas. I don't see that happening. Actually, that was a matchup last year. In last year's tournament, it was Arkansas versus Vermont, but it was a 4 versus a 13 seed, I'm pretty sure. I would love to see Vermont get a win, but Arkansas, too good, man. They got some really good recruits. I'm pretty sure they got like 3. I know for sure they got 2 5-star recruits coming in. They got some dudes, man. They got some dudes. That's all I'm going to say. But Arkansas is going to be nice. Now we got North Carolina versus Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M would give them a good fight, but give me North Carolina to win this one. Then we got Indiana versus Texas, and I love this Indiana team, but Texas is going to be a very solid team next year, and coached by Chris Beard. That is a good coaching matchup. Chris Beard versus Mike Woodson. Give me Texas, though. They got Arterio Morris coming in from 5-star recruit point guard, and their backcourt is already loaded even before that, with Tyrese Hunter coming in. I mean, Texas is going to be solid, man, for sure. Now we got Notre Dame versus Creighton. I could see Notre Dame making a little bit of a run here, but Creighton, they are so good, man. I got to go with them and roll with them. They are so much fun to watch. They're going to be so much fun to watch. Give me the Blue Jays. Enough said. Miami versus Arkansas. This would be a lot of fun. Two teams that have had very, very good off seasons this year. But I got to go with Arkansas. Very solid. This region right here is very stacked to me, and that's why this is the only region where I have a 1, 2, 3, 4 so far coming to the Sweet 16, and that's because all 4 of these teams I look as pretty good contenders to win the championship next year. I don't see them losing in the early rounds, any of them. So that's why I have them here. But yeah, now we got North Carolina versus Texas. Texas could beat them. So it makes it interesting, but I got to go with North Carolina. I mean, they got to be the favorites one of the favorites to win it all next year. They're going to be so good, man. Returning those players. Caleb Love, Armando Bacot is the big one. Leaky Black. All them dudes are going to be back, and the Tar Heels are going to be very good once again. Now we got Creighton versus Arkansas. Now this is such a tough matchup for me to pick. Like, it is literally a coin flip. Both these teams are going to be so good next year, but I got to go with Arkansas. Eric Musselman has done an awesome job, and I got to give it to Arkansas. And I really want Creighton to make it to the Elite 8, because I'm pretty sure the furthest that Creighton has ever made it in their history is the Sweet 16. But hopefully they get better matchups when actual March comes around, because I just like Arkansas so much, man. And I got to pick Arkansas to move on here. Now, we got North Carolina versus Arkansas. Two teams that I have as top tier contenders. Like, these are S tier contenders to win the championship for me next year. And I'm going to roll with Arkansas. I'm going to go with Arkansas to win it this time. My mind's going to change. I mean, obviously, a lot is going to change by the time the actual brackets come out and stuff. This is like a way too early one. But give me Arkansas to be our third bid to the Final Four. Now, we got Baylor versus Jackson State. And I am going to go with Baylor, of course. Now we got Iowa versus Florida in an 8 versus a 9 matchup. And a lot of people like Iowa because Chris Murray, Keegan Murray's brother, will be there. And a lot of people say that he is going to lead this team and take a big step up this year. I could see that happening, but I'm going to go with Florida. They are returning a really good big man. They made some moves in the transfer portal as well. Give me the Gators to beat Iowa in round 1. Now we got Auburn versus Drake, and I like Auburn a lot. Johnny Broome is a beast, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Johnny Broome does there at Auburn, but they are losing Jabari Smith. They are losing Walker Kessler. 2 big key losses there for Auburn. They will still be a very good team, but I got to go with Drake. Similar to how I was talking about St. Louis earlier, it seems like Drake is always right there in the mix to make the tournament, or they're in the first 4 game, but they always have injuries or something lets them down. So if they can make the tournament as a 12 seed, I got to go with Drake to get the upset and make it to the next round. Now we got Villanova versus UNC Greensboro. And this is tough because Villanova always goes far in the tournament. I kind of want to go with UNC. I'm not going to do it. No, Villanova always makes a run in the tournament, and they are actually going to be a very good team again next year as well. So give me Villanova to move on there. Then we got Texas Tech versus Wyoming. And Wyoming is the one team in the Mountain West that I have to think about maybe actually trusting this year, because Wyoming is going to be a good team next year. But going up against a Texas Tech team that is in the Big 12, they're well coached by Mark Adams. I got to go with the Red Raiders, man. If I had to pick any Mountain West team to win, because they were so disappointing to me last year, I would probably pick Wyoming, because I have the most confidence in them out of any of the Mountain West teams. But going against Texas Tech, they picked up Fardas Imac. Ooh, I got to go with Tech. I got to go with Tech, man. And Vardas Imac, accustomed to going up against Mountain West teams, considering he transferred from the Mountain West from Utah State. So, yeah. Now we got Arizona versus Louisiana. And, guys, biggest upset pick of the video. We got a 14 beating a 3 seed. In this one, we got Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns upsetting Arizona. I like this pick a lot. Arizona is losing some players, including Benedict Mathurin, a few other guys as well. Louisiana, I believe, is on to come up to have a very good year this year. Give me the Ragin' Cajuns as a 14 seed to move on. Let's go. Illinois versus Providence as a 7 versus a 10 seed. Honestly, a 10 seed for Providence is pretty low. I expect them to be up there around a 7 themselves. Illinois, Illinois is going to be too good. I actually just made a video about them not too long ago. Illinois is looking stacked. Picked up Matt Meyer, picked up Terrence Shannon Jr. They got dudes. And the defense on that team is going to be amazing. So give me Illinois. Next up, we got Gonzaga versus Northern Kentucky. Give me the Zags, man. Give me the Zags. Gonzaga is so stacked, especially now with Drew Timme returning. They just picked up Malachi Smith out of the transfer portal. I mean, they are going to cream Northern Kentucky. They would cream Northern Kentucky. All right, now let's go up to the round of 32. We got Baylor versus Florida in the next round. I do think that Florida could give them a solid run for their money in this one, but I am going to go with Baylor. I think it would be a good game. I think Florida's going to be a good team next year. They would give the Bears a run for their money, but give me Baylor to win that one. Scott Drew, very, very excellent coach. In my opinion, one of the best coaches in college basketball, 100%. I don't think that he's going to lose in the round of 32 back-to-back years. Give me Baylor to move on here. Now, we got Drake versus Villanova. Give me... Man. I would like actually to... I kind of want to pick Drake to get it done, but I'm going to go with Villanova. A good fundamental team, and I think that they will be able to get it done against Drake in this one. Next up, we got Texas Tech versus Louisiana. Now, can Louisiana continue their 14 seed to the Sweet 16? And yeah, let's do it. Louisiana to upset Texas Tech in this one. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns to the Sweet 16. Why not, man? Illinois versus Gonzaga in this next matchup. This would be a battle because both these teams have a great starting lineup, and they also would be able, both these teams are going to have really good defense. This one would come down to the wire. And I'm not just saying that, like this game would come down to the wire. Gonzaga versus Illinois. That's such a tough matchup because I would think that both of these teams would go pretty deep if they didn't have to face off. So it actually is a tough decision for me. It really is. Man, this is a tough one, but I am going to go with Gonzaga. I just can't pick against them at this point. But Illinois would give them a fight. I think that game would go down to the wire. Like, I really wanted to have Illinois go further, but since they had to play Gonzaga, yeah, give me Gonzaga, man. If Illinois had to play Baylor instead, I would probably pick Illinois over Baylor, honestly. Next up, we got Villanova versus Baylor. Now, in this one, I am going to go with Villanova to upset Baylor here in this one. I think it's a good matchup for him. I think Villanova's got some dudes. Give me the Wildcats to move on there. Then we got Louisiana versus Gonzaga, and that is where the Cinderella story of the Ragin' Cajuns ends. Gonzaga moves on to the Elite Eight. Now, Villanova versus Gonzaga to get our Final Four bid. and I am going to go with the Gonzaga Bulldogs to make it to the Final Four. So this is what our Final Four is looking like, guys. We got Kentucky versus TCU. Then we got Arkansas versus Gonzaga in our first matchup, Kentucky versus TCU. This would be a lot of fun, but give me Kentucky. TCU's Final Four run is going to end right there. And then we got Arkansas versus Gonzaga. Do we want to have a SEC national championship game? I could see it happening. Gonzaga is good, man. I'd kind of like to see that Gonzaga-Kentucky matchup. Man, this is a tough one to pick for me. It really is. I'm going to go with Gonzaga, though. I think they have more experience, especially with Drew Timme in there. Malachi Smith, I mean, that team, they got dudes, man. They got dudes. So we got Kentucky versus Gonzaga in the national championship game. Both teams were top seed teams last year, had disappointing years. We all know what happened with Kentucky. Gonzaga, they went out to Arkansas at the Sweet 16. They actually just got their revenge game in the Final Four of this year. And is this the year Gonzaga could win it all? It potentially could be. They got a good team, man. A very good team. You know what, guys? I am going to go with Kentucky, though. I got to go with Kentucky to win the national championship this year. I think Big O versus Drew Timme would be a great matchup, but I'm just going to roll with Kentucky here. I think that they have a pretty favorable path to get here. So give me Kentucky to win the national championship in my way too early March Madness bracket prediction. So if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to drop a like. That helps spread this video around to more college basketball fans. If you guys want to see me do another one of these, be sure to comment that down below, because when Joe Lunardi comes out with another updated bracketology, I'll be sure to fill it out for you guys if you guys would like to see that. So yeah, guys, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching.